got gospel literature. What's that?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'm Alan. Nice to meet you.
What are you doing here?
Well, I follow Jesus.
Yes, sir.
And
absolutely.
And Jesus has, Jesus was once asked what are the two greatest commandments. What's the greatest commandment in the law? Right,
Yeah.
Matthew chapter 22. He responded, "There's two: love the Lord your God with all your heart, love your neighbor as yourself." Yeah. And unfortunately, in our society, there's a particular class of neighbors that is the least loved, is the most oppressed, the most in danger, and yet they're the most innocent and least harmful. It's our unborn neighbors, who are being murdered approximately 2 million a year in our nation.
Absolutely.
About 7,000-8,000 in Oklahoma still, despite the overturning of Roe versus Wade, quote unquote, despite the fact that it's illegal in Oklahoma. It's not illegal, it's totally legal in Oklahoma. And I believe that if we love Jesus, we will stand up for justice for those who can't stand up for themselves.
Well, this is really cool what you're doing here.
Praise God. Appreciate that.
May the Lord be with you.
Thanks very much. Nice talking to you. How's it going, guys? Yeah, I've got Jesus literature for everybody if you guys want it.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, for sure. Yeah, God bless you.
I like knowledge. But,
Yeah, for sure.
Actual question.
Yeah, for sure.
So, this is a blame. You know what I'm saying? I like knowledge. I like
Appreciate you.
All right. So, there's two things up here I'm already disagreeing with.
Yeah.
That and that. Because my sister's bisexual.
Which one?
My sister's bisexual, and my mother had an abortion.
Okay, so the brown one?
Yeah, so both of these.
Okay, yeah.
If paying someone to rip apart this child is a murder.
Yep, and down they go.
That's
Down they go. It's all good though. I'll just leave it. See, it was their disapproval. They're all intimidated already.
Yeah,
They're like,
so
okay, we're done. We're done.
Tell you straight up, like, there are a lot of women that die from having birth. Like,
There's
for
a lot
example,
of women that get raped and still gotta have
that fucking kid, and that's not cool. Cause like, I'm gonna be real with you. I would, if rape wasn't a thing, that's cool. I can understand somebody making this argument if rape wasn't a thing.
But why my 14-year-old little cousin gotta still have the baby after she done got raped by her uncle?
Exactly.
Did she get raped, and was she actually pregnant from that, or are you just making it, or is it a hypothetical?
That was a hypothetical.
Okay.
But a 14-year-old did get raped and was forced to have her child as soon as the abortion law went into effect.
May I reflect on that real quick? I know an 11-year-old who was raped by her stepfather as well. The stepfather covered up his crime by murdering the child, and then he got her pregnant again, but she was able to escape him, and so the child became part of the evidence to lock him up in prison and convict him of his rapes. Also, that girl grew up to report to me that personally, this is somebody I know personally, who said that when the hard times and the flashbacks would come, she would hold her little baby and say, "We're in this together, because you are my child, I love you, and you love me. We're in this together. We were both victimized by that terrible man." And I believe that we confront hatred and violence and oppression with love and grace and the gospel of Jesus, not more violence to innocent parties.
But you're looking at this child. This man did this bad thing to you. You're looking at the birth of that. Like, some people don't want to see that.
Right. I serve a God who brings beauty out of ashes. It's a terrible, terrible thing that happened, but the Lord Jesus Christ can redeem it. Even a terrible thing like that, He can bring good out of it. Just like He brought such good out of the crucifixion of the Son of God. The worst thing that ever happened. Does that make sense?
Can I give you a scenario? Alright.
Please.
Do you have any kids?
Yeah.
Alright. How many kids you have?
I have 3 that died in the womb and 3 that are still here with me.
Alright, cool. You have a little girl?
Yeah, 2.
Okay. Let's just say your little girl goes through this, right?
Yeah.
And it's very thin. Because I'm going to be honest with you, abortions don't look like that.
Sometimes do.
Abortions don't look
That's a
like
photo.
I got a sister that died in a miscarriage.
Sorry about
I know what it looked like.
that. Real young.
But let me tell you how crazy this
Because
is.
they're homeschooled. Because this is a public speaking and a logical philosophy class all rolled up into one.
So let me tell you how crazy this is, right?
Yeah.
What you present, and I mean, it's cool. Like, I ain't knocking nobody's belief. Your beliefs are your beliefs.
That looks like a stillbirth.
Yeah.
That's not a what?
But I'm gonna tell you, like, straight up.
That's not an abortion. That's a stillbirth.
How do you know?
Huh?
How do you know?
Because I know what a stillbirth looks like, and I know.
Do you know what every stillbirth looks like? And every abortion looks like?
No, but I know that there's different ones.
That's for sure. Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
This baby is
Stillbirths don't. Hold on, just a second. Stillbirths do not get chopped up with a scalpel like that one was. They don't get ripped to shreds. Only after they're dead.
But
During like a
Do
DNC.
you know that's after 10 weeks?
I mean, if the fingers are formed, yeah, it's gonna be after 10
You
weeks.
can't have an abortion after 10 weeks, which
Yeah,
means that
yeah, you
baby only will have
You
what,
can
a
have,
heartbeat?
no, you can have a surgical abortion.
Yeah,
after
in
10
plenty of states. Yeah.
If your daughter got like raped right now, you want her to go through and be like that, like the pregnancy full time.
But the thing is,
Yes,
people don't
I wouldn't,
have.
because
People don't
I don't want my
have-
daughter to participate in the murder of an innocent child. So
You
what
wouldn't
we
let her make that choice, or you believe that
What
you're
if
in
it's not a
control
child
of
yet?
The child has to.
well,
be
the child, if the child's there, then there's no abortion, so no big deal, right?
What if there's not
So,
a child
but the child is present because conception is when life begins. So what I would want to do is surround her with love and care, and give her grace, and I will help her in every way that I can to help her heal from that. But you heal much less well when you become a murderer yourself, when you become a violent oppressor yourself and share in that violence. We're supposed to respond to that terrible violence with love and grace. Does that make sense? Just like Jesus did. Yeah. Sorry, I'm sorry. She was asking me a question, but yeah, please. You were gonna finish something.
All right, so you saying it's by Jesus we have to do this, right?
I think all of life centers around Jesus. Yeah.
Jesus is like, all right. So I'm a firm believer in God, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So Pete,
Why don't you guys hand out tracts around? Yeah. Sir. Thank you. Yeah.
all right.
But that's not.
It's a sin. It's a sin to have sex. Let's start there.
Outside of marriage, yes.
Outside of marriage, right? Okay. And a baby that's procreated outside of marriage is a sin, correct?
No.
No.
The life is a consequence of sin, but not a sin itself.
No, that's a sin.
No, I disagree.
Because I'm gonna tell you the honest to God truth, bro. If I'm sitting out here and if it happened, then you gotta deal with that. Now let's say you got somebody who literally cannot afford to take care of this kid, and that kid, she's forced to have a baby. I know plenty girls back home that's 11 years old with kids, and they can't take care of them.
You know plenty of 11-years-olds with babies?
Yeah.
Where are you
I'm
from?
from Memphis.
And there's lots of 11-year-olds in
Yes,
Memphis that have babies?
this is something
Okay.
normal. This ain't people.
I mean, I could believe 14, but 11?
Yeah, you'd be surprised.
A lot of girls that are
Don't start
11
their
haven't even
periods.
started puberty
Yeah, I
yet.
know.
And you can't it's really hard to get pregnant when you don't even have a period.
You have your period. It's a lot of girls who have their periods early. My sister
Okay.
had her period when she was 8.
Okay. Sorry, I'll get
So
past that.
it's
So let's say you're right.
all right. Okay. At the same point in time, this, disgusting. I'm real with you. As a man that believe what you believe in, I respect it. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody got their own tale to tell, and their own stories they want to believe. There's a lot of religions that we want to procreate as wrong, and I'm not going to say your stuff wrong because you might very much so be right in the end all. I just won't believe in it right now because my mother had to go through this. I had to watch this, and on top of that, my sister's gay. So as far as your standpoint, I'm gonna always disagree with it off the strength of my people and off the strength of everybody here. Because I'm gonna be real with you. There's a lot of people that want to believe something, but if you ain't got nobody else behind you and you just the only one yapping, then it ain't real. It ain't happening.
Could I reflect on that real quick? I mean, obviously one would prefer to have more people like around who are in agreement, and so that we can encourage each other and all that kind of stuff. At the same time, there's a famous saying that says, "One man with God, or one person with God, is a majority." So I believe that even when we're lonely and isolated, and if the Lord is with us, then that's plenty. And the Lord has commanded that we stand up for equal justice. And I would rather stand against the whole crowd with God on my side than the other way around, than be part of the person who's crying out against the law of God. You know what I mean?
Okay. This?
Is it the black one there?
No, I'm saying what do you gain from coming out here to do this?
It cost me, so I don't gain anything.
My dog's right here, brody. So look, I'ma just keep a smooth buck with you. I can't believe that. I can't believe this. I definitely can't believe this. And all the reason why is because I have personal experiences that go against this, that actually happen. And I mean, granted, I'm pretty sure you got personal experiences where you believe and you want to believe, but I'm keeping a smooth buck. You can't. If a girl aborts a baby, the baby is not there. This baby's already formed. That baby already got feet. That baby already got.
Well,
body.
those are
That
later.
baby already got a body.
Those are later term abortions
There are
for sure.
people. There are people that get abortions before the baby even get the formula.
Yeah, I know.
Before there's
I
even
know.
a heartbeat.
I don't
So
think
as far as I'm
I don't think that
concerned,
affects the justice of the act, but it obviously
does.
makes a different photo.
It does.
Wait, what do you
Because you only
if they
showing
get it
this.
before
You only showing this.
the 10 weeks?
I haven't seen you show anything where
Literally
it's an abortion
before the 10
the
weeks,
baby's born.
Yeah, can I reflect on that?
You're on appeals and
Yeah.
you
Right.
pissing out
Right.
the rest.
Yeah,
I don't
like,
think-
I ain't gonna lie to you. These pictures
Yeah.
that you got, it look like you pulling them out your ass.
So
Like, I ain't gonna lie.
I don't. Well, they're photographs of later term abortions, but I don't think that the justice of an act in this case is dependent on the size. Oh, there he goes. Anyway, on the size of the person involved. Like I'm taller than you, he's bigger than me. I don't think that like he's more of a human than I am, or that I'm more of a human than you are. I think that we're all three human of equal value.
I mean, you might not
What does
feel
that
equal
have
to
to do
him.
with the fact that?
No, I'm not saying what I feel.
What does that have to do with the fact
He's
that
superior to me in a lot of ways. I'm just saying that like we're all humans of equal value, no matter our size, no matter our age. And I think that like even though it doesn't make as compelling a photograph for this kind of thing, like those humans that are killed by chemical weapons in the form of a Plan B pill or a birth control pill or whatever, they're just as human as you and I are.
And I just feel like we're bringing humans into this world that people is not giving a fuck about. They're also like not using we don't have the resources.
Yes.
I'm a college student and I get pregnant. What the fuck I need to, why? I don't have the means to take care of myself right now. What do I look like having the means to take care of a child? Now I have this child. Now I'm trying to struggle with school. This is not back then no more. This is a new day and age. People is getting you're getting mimicked and stuff for having children at this age. Like I don't have it to support me.
Yeah.
So now when I'm walking around with my child ain't got no shoes on
Okay.
because we don't have nothing.
Can I reflect on that a little bit? I think that knowing that's a possibility, like it would be a good idea to not engage in behavior that could plausibly lead to pregnancy for one thing.
Literally, men.
But I'm not done yet. I'm not. Hold on, I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet.
I was just
I'm not done yet. Can I respond a little bit? Is it okay to respond a
Yeah,
little
go
bit?
ahead.
Give more than one response? I agree that the man shares responsibility, but you can't always count on that for other people. So, since both are responsible, but like you might be more of like have more of a humanity in your heart than the father of of your hypothetical child. So maybe you don't kill your child or whatever, but yet you're still stuck with it in the reality because of the consequence of what you did. You can ask for help, but like you always have to compare whatever the possibly negative outcomes are to the other side, which is if I try to avoid all that kind of stuff after I'm pregnant, then I'm murdering a baby. It's murder. You can't murder.
It's saving
Thou
my
shalt
life.
not murder.
It's saving
That is
my
not
life.
the way that goes.
Yes, that's the way that goes.
So just because
It's
you would
me having an abortion because I
you would
want to go to
face
college.
financial hardship, you think that's equivalent to saving your life? It's saving your desired career, maybe.
It's saving.
I mean, a lot of people don't
It's
have their
saving me
desired
from
career out of
getting
college.
kicked out of my house. It's saving
Okay.
me from being a black
Not
sheep
your
of my
life.
family.
Not your life.
No, this
Okay.
is my life. It's saving me from.
That's your
from
preferred
getting my
preferred
education.
lifestyle. But the child
in
loses his
in
life.
his argument, he is making a valid point. I'm gonna be a real nigga here.
For sure.
I
It's
really
not
have a question for you.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm
so-
Alan. Nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Alan. I just really think that, like,
I'm just saying.
I don't think what you guys think about all around. I think you're only thinking about the child and you're not thinking about the life that goes with it. Because
That's what
you
I'm
see every day.
thinking.
You
Like the
see
mother?
all these
What I'm
children
saying.
in the child care system. You see all these mothers that have children that can't even take care of them. You see all these families struggling because the government is looking for them. So you have a solution to your problem and you guys are telling people that they can't have that solution. And that's not fair because you're not taking care of your child, are you? You're not living their lifestyle. So I just don't think that you should try to put what you feel into somebody else's life.
I have a radical solution I'd like to share with you.
And that is.
Why don't you? And I'd like you to think about it in sincerity and reflect on it without outrage. Okay? There's a lot of kids in the foster care system. They've had their shot. They're taking up a lot more resources. Okay, since that's our consideration, apparently, let's take care of all of it by rounding up all the foster care children. We gas them to death, and then we have room in the foster care children for all the unwanted children that are still young and still in the womb. What do you think about that?
Literally can have a
That's
child
not
for
going to work.
each
Why?
day. These
Because
celebrities is out
just
here
because
having
they're
6
not less of a
babies at
human in
time.
the child care
Oh.
system
Women
than
do.
a person
A woman pregnant
that's
for 9
having
months.
back
Really?
Only had 2
Okay,
children.
so the child in the
You only
womb is
have
not
a
less of a
second
children
one.
either,
You
right?
start fucking right after they
Okay.
But I'm saying to you, why would you? My
that's
question
a
is,
whole-
why
and
would
that's
you
like a whole
put the
month.
child
You
in
feel
the
me?
womb already?
you
knowing
only-
what's going to happen? Why would you do that?
That's a great response to those who would commit sexual immorality outside of marriage. I agree with you 100%. People should restrict sexual activity to inside of marriage, so that there is a couple ready and willing to lovingly open their arms to a child that
But
comes
there's
into
some
the world.
people that are married that don't even want kids.
Okay, fair enough. So they have. I'm not telling them they have to have sex and have children.
I know, but we all know that married people are going to have sex. That's what's
Probably.
going to happen.
Because they have sex, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
It's not being married; it's the having sex part.
But,
So since we don't want to bring children into the world,
but
that
there's
would
people
fall
that
into
are
this.
married that don't want to have children and want to have sex, and that they can do that. That's their
Fair
choice.
enough. Okay. Fair enough. What I'm suggesting is that the babies, who are just as human as everybody else, we can't murder them. We have to find another
Are you
solution.
talking about the children that are after 10 weeks or before 10 weeks?
Well, human life begins at conception, so it's anybody.
No, it does not.
Maybe that's
Not
because I think that's
scientifically.
the actual fulcrum of the question. Don't you agree? When life begins.
But I don't think that life can. I don't think that because there's actually a lot of women that don't even know that they're pregnant.
Right.
So you can't say that life begins at conception because you don't even know when conception is.
I didn't.
You don't know.
Well, we know
what
what conception is.
We know when conception is, but just because you have sex doesn't mean you always end up pregnant. So
Right.
you can't even say that. You can't say that life begins at conception.
Well, I know that when conception happens, a human life is present. It's true that I may not necessarily be aware of it.
Yeah.
Okay. But I think that's a separate question. When we know, like, there's no reason to get an abortion if you're not pregnant, right? Abortion is ending a pregnancy.
Yeah.
When you have a pregnancy, there's a human child inside you. You either kill it or you don't. Kill the child or you don't. You know, I don't think that it's justifiable to kill a child just because you think that that child's life will inconvenience you, even significantly in the future.
So my question to you is, if somebody was to have that child, what do they do? If they can't take care of it, if they don't have resources, and they don't want their child to end up in the foster system, what is your advice to them since you're telling them that you don't want them to abort their child?
Two things. One, ask for help.
What
Two,
if there is no help? Because half of the time
there's
there's
plenty
not.
of help. Two,
What's your plenty of help? Putting your child in the foster care system?
No.
Watching your child grow up with somebody else and not even be able to talk to them?
Maybe.
What's help for you?
well, lots of adoptions are open. You can talk to them. So
and
that's one
then
thing.
what? You watch somebody else raise your child because you knew you couldn't do it and you have to live with that every day?
Better than your
No,
own child.
it's not, actually.
Well, maybe it is. I can tell you one way in which it's better than having your own child's blood on your hands.
And that is?
Well, actually, two ways. One, you don't have your own child's blood on your hands, so you don't carry that guilt before the God of the universe. And
Half people
two,
don't even have guilt. I'd rather
have guilt.
rather have an abortion than watch my child grow up in the foster care system.
I know.
than live with
That's
them.
because your heart is hard and you don't love.
I do love.
But well, you don't love them.
I don't have a child to
Your
love.
is
I'm not
partial.
pregnant, so.
Your love is partial. You only love people that fit your acceptance. You don't love all people.
I do love all people.
You don't love those people.
What people?
Exactly.
Because I don't have a kid, so I don't have anybody to love.
You sound exactly like the white people in power in 1830 South Carolina. They would look at a black
But
woman
it's
like you.
2023.
They would look at you and they would say, "I don't see a person here. I see blank." They would fill in the blank with a terrible word,
But my question is
ape,
you.
tool, appliance,
But now you're
slave.
talking about black people, but we're talking about a kid. And I said to you, I don't have a kid. So I don't have, this is not my fight. Right?
Well, maybe I didn't have a slave in 1830 South Carolina,
I know you didn't, but we're talking about kids.
but maybe I would have, or maybe I would not have.
And
Right?
if you did, that's your choice, right? So if I got an
I don't
abortion, that's
agree.
my choice, right?
No, I don't agree. But you're saying that, don't you think so?
Yeah, if you had a slave, that's your choice. We're in 2023.
Was it a right choice?
I'm not a slave.
Was it a right choice?
No, why do you think that you having power over another human being is okay?
It's a great question. I don't think that is.
Exactly.
Yeah. So why do you? Because you think so.
What power?
The power to murder them and chop them into bits.
I don't have a baby to chop up. So that's
But you
not
think
my
that
fight.
other people, you think that it should be legal for other people to do that, right?
Yes.
Okay. So why do you think it should be legal to do
Because
that?
they're living their life, their lifestyle. If somebody kills their kid, it doesn't affect you at the end of the day, does it?
Yes.
Are you gonna? How does that affect you? You're not raising that kid. You're not paying for that kid.
I'll tell you
You're
how
not
it will
looking
stop.
after that
I'll
kid.
tell you how. Because God lays the blood guilt on the whole nation. Everybody is
I'm
guilty.
sorry. God has way other problems than worrying about somebody aborting.
What makes you think that? How do you know? How do you know anything about God?
Do you?
Yes.
What do you know? Have you talked to God about abortion?
Yes.
When he said to you what?
I read in the Bible lots of things like about the blood guilt of the nation, like I was just saying.
But God, we sacrifice for God every day. We have sacrificial lambs. So my question to you
What does that mean?
when we
Sacrificial
give an
lambs.
offering to God,
Okay.
you know what that means if you read the Bible. You just said that you talked to God before, right?
You
So
said
should know
we
what a
have
sacrifice-
sacrificial lambs.
We
I'm not sure
have.
what you mean by that.
Everybody, what's a sacrificial lamb?
It's something. What is a sacrificial lamb? It's a lamb that one offers in sacrifice. What kind of sacrifice are you talking about? What lamb have you sacrificed?
Me, not. But my people have.
What do you mean
we're all
your people?
connected, right? We're all one, right?
What does that mean?
Under God, we're all
Who
one.
is your people?
Everybody, right? We're all brothers and sisters in the Lord.
Okay, so everybody who sacrifices a sacrificial lamb, you
Yes,
mean that
we
we have
offer a
sacrificial
sacrifice
lamb?
up to God. Do we not?
Not necessarily. What if God rejects that sacrifice?
I don't see God rejecting a sacrifice from a person.
What about
that
in
cares and
Genesis chapter 3? Have you not read that God rejected the sacrifice of Cain?
Of course he said. And what did Cain do? Why did he reject Cain's sacrifice?
Because he did not have faith in God.
That's
He did not
not
have love
why.
in his heart.
Cain killed his brother.
Before? No, he did it after the sacrifice, not before. God rejected the sacrifice first, right?
Yeah.
Right, okay. So God rejected the sacrifice first. Why?
Because he wasn't entrusting in God.
Yeah. Okay, so he didn't believe in God's word. He did not trust God.
Exactly. And God,
Now-
when has God ever talked about abortion in the Bible?
Plenty.
When?
Exodus chapter 21.
About?
When he said in the law of God, it says that somebody who kills a child in the womb is subject to the death penalty.
So I want you to pull that up right now. Do you have a phone, a Bible? I want you to pull that up for me
Okay.
right now.
Okay. In addition to that, have you ever heard you've heard of the Ten Commandments? Yeah.
Yep.
The
A baby doesn't count.
well, okay, then a black person doesn't count.
That
So
doesn't-
if we
a
just get
baby-
to,
if you have a baby that never came out the womb, that is not a person.
I'll tell you what.
A
It
baby
sounds
is not a
like
person
you
until
think
it comes out the womb.
as long as we dehumanize somebody in our minds before doing something to them, then it's okay,
How am
right?
I
Is that okay?
dehumanizing an embryo?
Because the embryo
has
is a
not
human
fully
embryo.
developed.
A human embryo.
It doesn't have a brain. It
Do you
doesn't
know
have
what an
toes,
embryo-
It doesn't have feet.
Do you know what the definition of embryo is?
Yes.
Okay, what is it?
It's a grown fetus. But my question to you, it has
Hold
no
on,
toes. It
hold
has
on.
no feet. It has no brain.
Hold on.
So where?
Okay, so if I lose all my fingers and toes in an accident,
No, that's not what we're talking about. I'm talking about a child that has not fully developed.
you haven't fully
You
developed.
have an egg.
How old are
I'm
you?
fully developed.
No, you
I have a
don't.
brain.
You don't
I
stop
have
developing
toes,
till you're
I have
25.
fingers. I have a heart. I have lungs.
You're not listening.
I have a blood system. I have blood flowing through my body.
Yes, on average.
Do I not? So you have an embryo child that the only reason that it's alive is because it is hanging on to another human being.
Right, because that
Correct?
human
So
being
it
put
is
it there.
not alive.
Right, because that human being put it there.
So okay, my question to you is: so if you think a girl gets raped, do you think she should keep that baby?
Yes,
Why?
because it's murder. To murder that child.
So it was okay for her to get raped, and she has
No.
to live with that decision
No.
every day of her life because you think that she has to have that baby.
With
That's
what?
a problem.
With what decision?
That is a problem.
Well, you're not even listening to me. Did you just come here to lecture me? Because I could talk to somebody else. It's fine. There's plenty of other people to talk to. Would you like to have an exchange of ideas? Is that okay?
You think?
Is it okay to have an
I just asked
exchange
you
of
a question,
ideas?
You haven't answered it.
Well,
so you
I know.
think
Hold on,
that
because
if a girl gets raped, she should keep that baby.
I already answered that one. But then
And
you
you said
said,
yes,
then
why?
you said another one, and I answered that one too. But then you said, so it's okay for her to get raped.
That's what you're saying. You're saying it's okay.
No.
That's okay.
No,
if you, think
you
you
are
should keep the
mistaken
baby,
about
that's
that.
okay.
You are mistaken about
You're
that.
letting her live with that
You are
decision
not
for the
letting
rest
me
of her
answer.
life.
You're not letting me answer.
Okay, go ahead.
That's not really respectful.
Go ahead.
Okay. If you want to have a respectful conversation, we
Just
can have
talk.
a back
You're
and
still
forth.
talking. You're not answering the question.
I know. It's because
So talk.
when you pose questions
You
with
don't have
bad
to. You're
premises.
lecturing me now. So answer
Yes,
the question.
because you lectured
All you
me
have to
quite
do
a
is
bit.
answer the question.
Bad premises. Okay? Give right premises or give open-ended questions. It's
Just
not
name
okay for her.
one.
It's not okay for her to get raped. The rapist should get the death penalty. Jesus Christ can bring good out of the terrible circumstances like a rape. And we should not murder. You do not respond. You do not respond to one act of violence with another unjustified act of violence and create another victim.
So you want
make
her
sense?
to raise a rape baby. That's what you want that woman to do. You want her
Well,
to
many
have
people
a-
should help her.
So
She
you
should be
want-
helped for sure.
But we don't know if she's gonna get that help, do we?
Well,
Just because you ask for help doesn't
we
mean
can
you get it,
we can
right?
cry out for help. You can help. You can help as well.
Okay, but just because
Yeah.
she asks for help, does that mean she's gonna always get the help that she asks for?
If she
No.
asks from God, she will always get the help.
Yeah, but God doesn't always give it to us right when we ask,
I
does
know.
He?
I know. But he always does what is good for those who love him and who are called according to his purpose.
I still
Do
don't
you
know when
believe that?
that's gonna happen. Yes, I
Okay,
do.
so does that mean that it's okay to murder somebody if we don't get what God wants right when we want it?
No, because we're not talking about we're not talking about like you're murdering me. We're talking about a woman that had somebody rape her,
Yeah.
and
Which
now
is
she
terrible.
has to literally look at this child and
Yes.
live that throughout her life, and you think that that's okay?
I believe Jesus can bring healing. And I do not believe that even if she does suffer that way, it would be better than that she murder her own child. Jesus said, greater love has no one than this, and that they lay down their life for their friends. And greater love is self-sacrifice. Jesus himself modeled that on the cross by sacrificing himself on the cross to save other people who hated him.
My mom gave me the choice, and I didn't.
But so you're telling me that you believe that after this transgression happens to this woman, that she should live her life that way, because at the end of the day, that there might be some good that comes out of it.
She should live her life not being a murderer. Yes, I don't think anybody should be a murderer.
But there's women that don't believe in Jesus.
I know, but they still should. Everybody should.
So
But
that's
they still should.
They should, but there's never a time in America that everybody will believe in God.
I know. Well, you don't know that in the future, but it's true that that's not been the case so far.
When the rapture comes, yes, of course, only his believers will be on
The rapture is not a thing that's going to happen. Just letting you know.
So you read the Bible, but you don't believe in the rapture?
Yeah, the rapture's not in the Bible. It's just made up. Jesus will come back, though.
I thought the whole Bible was made up.
Okay, well, that's because you haven't researched it. You're a very ignorant person, obviously.
Bro, you're not going to convince anyone that way. You're not going to convince.
Do you think that she was going to convince me with her flippant comment about how the whole Bible's made up?
I don't know.
Hold up. Rebuke her for the same flippant comment.
The Bible has been put through 65 books over it.
There we go. That's a spirit.
Through study.
Okay. I do not believe the Bible's made up. I believe it's the Word of God, and to deny that it's
have you ever read
to deny that the Bible's true.
Have you only read?
Well, you can't take every book of the Bible as the same face value, because the Bible is different books.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what face value means exactly. So I probably wouldn't agree with that statement.
Well, you can't take all the words literally. You know what I mean? Like, you can't take Genesis literally. You can't take the creation story.
You take that part literally.
Do you speak Hebrew?
No.
Then you'll never read the real Bible in your life.
They translated it in English.
They translated it, but you do know that. So, do you speak any other languages?
What version
Yes.
do you use?
What other languages do you speak?
French and Spanish.
Okay,
Fluently.
so I speak Spanish, so you know that when you translate back and forth, that things get messed up. You know that, right? Yes, because there's some words in Spanish that we have words that are in Spanish.
Expert translators can get you close enough.
Close enough.
Yeah. Expert translators can get you close enough.
Close enough.
Okay. What is a specific critique that you have of the Hebrew translation?
I'm saying that
You don't have any.
our original Bible was written in what? Correct?
Well, you're
The
aware.
original Bible was written in what?
You're aware that
What was that? You're not answering my question. What was the original Bible
Greek
written
and
in?
Hebrew. Jesus spoke Aramaic, and then it translated to the Greek, to Latin, now to
Keep
the Latin language.
No, that is not how it went. But you were close. You started off well. The Old Testament was written in Hebrew and some Aramaic, and then the New Testament's in Greek.
So why do you think that that's going to be able to translate all the way back to English correct and precise?
It's just one translation. You just go from Greek to English. If you're an expert translator, you just translate it. I've translated many hundreds of pages professionally.
But English has changed. Alone has changed over time, and there are different variations.
That's why this translation is like 20 years old.
Is this?
It's like 20 years old.
All right, I use the same one.
It's not the King James.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. That's a tough
James
one.
hurts my soul.
Yeah. You might like it, but at the same time, it's rough. It's rough to understand for sure. It was actually designed to be like old language in 1611.
Yeah, it's
strangely.
King James
Like,
hurts.
can we approach Shakespeare for no reason? Okay, good. I think they had the wrong idea about that. Bottom line, like Jesus gets to command. Do you think that Jesus gets to command us and tell us what to do?
Yeah.
In all respects, every time. Okay. What is it? What is a decision that you think Jesus does not have the authority to tell you to make?
None, because I might believe in Jesus, but God is my Father.
No, you specifically.
What do you mean?
Well, like, do you think that Jesus gets to tell you what to do?
No, because I believe in God. I believe in Jesus and God, but Jesus is God's son, which means that God is telling me what to do, not Jesus.
Okay. Do you think that God gets to tell you what to do in every respect?
Yes, if he came down here and talked to me, yes, but God gives us free will to make our own free decisions. So,
And some of them are bad, right?
yeah, and
How
that's
can we know
okay.
which ones are bad?
That's not for us, no.
We can't know which decisions are bad.
I mean, we know which decisions are bad, but I don't think God's going to let
How
us
do we know?
regardless. We know because we read our Bible, and we
Okay.
know.
So in the Bible, we are told which decisions are bad and good.
Yeah.
Insofar as it contains.
It contains our testimony.
Okay. Yeah. And a lot more, right? Okay. So where in the Bible do you think that the idea that we respond to an evil with another evil is taught? Okay. What do you think about Romans chapter 3, verse 8, where it says, "Shall we do evil that good may come? Some say that. Their condemnation is just." What do you think about the fact that Romans chapter 3 condemns those who say, "Let us do evil that good may come"? For example, let us abort a child so that a woman can get a college education and escape the thoughts of her rape.
I feel like that woman gets to decide that for herself. My opinion on abortion is that if that person feels like that's not for them, that just like anything else in life, when somebody is in the LGBT community, when somebody does anything, that's their decision because they're living that life. And I feel like I am not God, I am not the creator, so that is not anything that has anything to do with me. So if you decide to make that decision, at the end of the day, you have your judgment day, I have mine. So that has nothing to do with me. But if you want to do that, that's cool, because that's the life that you're living, and it's not going to affect me. If one less kid is in the world, it's not going to affect me because it's not my kid, and I didn't have to take care of it in the first place.
Is it possible for us to condemn any action taken by anybody else?
No.
Not at
you
all.
You might have feelings towards it, but it's not your job.
Not any action.
I didn't create that
not any
person.
action.
No.
Okay. So, do you think that it's okay for me to look at a soldier in China who rapes a Muslim Uyghur in a prison camp in China right now, which I'll never know, which will never affect me, but I say that action was bad?
It was.
But you just said that if it doesn't, that if it doesn't affect you, you can't condemn it because it's an action taken by somebody else. Would you like to walk that back now? Sounds like you do condemn that soldier.
I will say
on what basis do you condemn the soldier for raping the Uyghur woman in the concentration camp?
That you feel like that was not okay.
Who?
You feel like the action that was not okay.
You feel like it?
Yeah, I feel like that wasn't okay, but I'm not going to go, it's not my job to go and tell them what they can't do, because I'm not God.
So you're never going to tell anybody that you don't know that it's wrong to rape?
No, I'm going to, if it happens, yes, I'm going to be like, oh, that was wrong, but it's not my job to scrutinize them or be in their face about it, because I'm not understanding.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, when in the Bible has it ever told you that you should correct somebody else? That's not
everywhere.
Your job.
Literally
Where?
everywhere.
Where?
Jesus did it all the time. Jesus,
say it again.
Jesus. Jesus is God.
Okay.
And Jesus went.
Is not God. Whoa.
Yeah, yes.
No, he's not.
Sure.
No.
What makes you think that Jesus is not God? Jesus claimed to be God.
What makes you think that Jesus is God?
He claimed to be God. He accepted worship. All of his disciples thought he was God.
Hey, can I say
the whole Bible says he was God.
Can I say something?
Were you aware of that?
21 years ago, my mom had an ectopic pregnancy and had to get an abortion. And if she hadn't had that abortion, she would have been rendered inviable. It would have destroyed her uterus.
It kills people.
20 years ago, I was born, my sister was born. And if the laws in place today had been in place then, I would not be alive. I just want you all to know that.
My friend.
It makes me very emotional because it threatens my life.
My friend, have you ever listened to the answer to that challenge?
What is the answer to that challenge? Me being dead? Me not existing?
No.
That's the only.
You're not listening. I asked if you'd listened. Apparently the answer is no. Okay.
I don't understand. The alternative is that I would have died.
No.
If that had taken place today, even though our medical procedures are much better,
no,
my
that's not the case.
Would have been rendered inviable
that's
and I would not exist.
That's
so
not
thank
the case,
you very much, sir. I want you to think about that tonight.
You're not listening, my man. Okay, I'll think about how you didn't listen. It happens. It happens. Sorry?
Against birth control. The child being out of the
hormonal birth control is abortifacient, so yeah, it's not justifiable.
Oh, so then I wouldn't have been born either. Because I regulate my mom 4 months, and that's how I was born, and my brother.
Because what, I'm sorry?
My mom had endo, and it regulated
hormones.
And so I was born because of birth control.
You were born because the birth control pill like cured her endometriosis?
No, it regulated her hormones temporarily.
Okay. I misunderstood. So it regulated hormones temporarily, and in the course of that, like taking that cycle of birth control pills, she got pregnant with you?
Yeah, and
that's
my
crazy.
brother. Yeah. Endometriosis, it fucks up the whole system.
Yeah, well, I know my wife had it really bad too. Yeah, I'm really glad to hear that it worked out well. I'm not saying that God doesn't bring good out of bad situations, but what I am saying is that the answer. Yeah, what's going on? Yeah, I'm Alan.
Are you a man of God?
God help me, man. I follow Jesus, and I need Him every day.
What's your thoughts on homosexuality, man?
Well. Homosexuality is like, when most people talk about it, they talk about it in terms of like an orientation, which I would kind of restate that as like a temptation. Okay, plenty of people have all kinds of temptations toward different things, right? Like some people are tempted to like walk into a store and steal stuff, yeah. Other people are tempted to be violent against other people. Well, because I was asked, you know.
I asked you about it.
Yeah.
I can join in this conversation.
I'm working on it now.
Are you in the flag group?
You know, like I have plenty of temptations to be like a coward, or to like be selfish, or to like lose my temper to my kids, for example. Just give an example. Okay?
So like, my sister was like,
we all have different. We're all made different. We all have different ways in which we're twisted up because of sin. Okay? Different ways that we're tempted to sin. God tells us that Jesus Christ conquered sin on the cross. He offers us freedom from sin. He offers us the power of the Spirit of God to be with us and to be like in us, so that we combat against these temptations. So in the same way that it would not be justifiable for me to just like give full vent to my temper, you know, and like maybe my son says something mean to me and I just, oh, I'm so mad, you know what I mean? So the Spirit of God can help me to put that to death and say, control yourself, self-control, be like, appeal to God to help you to be patient and not to lose your temper and be like, take things out of priority and like go crazy. It's just one example. Okay? In the same way, some people are tempted to like with attraction to other people of the same sex. Right? Just like I'm tempted by like numerous beautiful women that are around. Okay, that does not justify me like pursuing them romantically or sexually. In the same way, what I would encourage anybody, and I know some, who are tempted by homosexual acts, to tell them that the Lord Jesus Christ can help them. I don't know exactly to what extent He will, or like how, because I don't know that for anybody. You know, I think that He'll help in certain ways, but I don't know for sure. But I would encourage anybody, man, like place your hope in Jesus Christ and seek to put to death these temptations, the deeds of the flesh that lead to death, and cry out to God for mercy. And I believe that a lot of the time, the witness of many people is that like when people do that, God does actually help them to kind of move past those temptations. Not necessarily all the time, and not necessarily like to the same extent or whatever. But if they set their hearts on the things that are above, not the things that are below, the deeds of the flesh that lead to death, then the Lord Jesus Christ is faithful to help us. So like it's all about placing our faith in Jesus Christ. The whole homosexuality thing is, you know, very politicized and all that kind of stuff, but at the level of the individual, I would just encourage anybody, place your hope in Jesus Christ. He can save sinners. Does that make sense? Yeah, I'd love to hear your reflection.
So do you believe that homosexuality itself is a sin?
Like the temptation, it's hard to say. Like probably at some point, like if you just like continue to massage like a bad thought in your mind over and over and over again, probably it crosses the line into sin. But just being tempted in such a way is not necessarily a sin. You know, the Bible even says that Jesus Himself, who was sinless, was tempted, yet without sin. Somehow, at some point.
In his long journey, all the books of the Bible, at some point he was tempted. Yeah.
We got for sure. So like he was tempted, but at some point, like in an individual, like you and me, there's a temptation present. And at some point of grabbing hold of it and letting it pull us, then it becomes sin. Even if we do stop short of like literally, you know, making physical contact with somebody else. That makes sense. So I like to make a distinction between the act and the temptation.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So like, at what point do you believe it crosses into the act of homosexuality, like actively engaging sexually with a person of the same gender? Or just
Well, I mean, yeah, you can't. Yeah, it's like not. Obviously, to engage sexually outside of hetero marriage, monogamous marriage is going to be sinful in any respect. There's lots of ways to sin sexually. That would be one of them. You know, as far as like when the temptation becomes a sinful desire, it's hard to say. Like, I would just kind of counsel somebody if it were a one-on-one thing. I'd be like, look, Bob, you know, like when you're struck with that temptation, flee to Jesus Christ for it, and don't even get close to the sinful cliff. You know, like whatever the cliff is, when you step. Okay, now it's sin, now it's not. Don't, you know, just like go far away and pray to the Lord Jesus to help you to put those temptations to death. You know what I mean? Like it's a thing for everybody to do in different things. Some people, like I got a good friend who is tempted that way. And that's the thing that he has to do is like put that to death. I'm tempted in different ways. I'm not tempted by homosexuality, I'm tempted by other things. You know? And it's the same thing for me. Like, do I just kind of, I'm not sinning. Foolish, man. The Lord Jesus calls us to set our minds on things that are above and to stay far away from that, if that makes sense.
Do you think that like, a Catholic or like a Christian, for the larger matter, can be homosexual and still like go to heaven and still like receive forgiveness from God at the time of death?
It's a good question. It depends on how we define like a homosexual. You know what I mean? Because like maybe it's conceivable that somebody could follow Jesus their whole life and still have the homosexual temptations.
I find myself in that camp. I'm a bisexual. I'm a devout Catholic. I go to church every understanding.
So like I would.
Okay.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, you're all good. Catholic perspective here. So from that I feel the question is rather the succumbing to the desire. I mean, I've had those experiences. I've been through some shit in the past, some less than wise decisions. I'm going to say that. But what I can say is I did talk about it. And the question isn't like whether or not the action
How Puritan do you want America to be? Like how Puritan? Because I saw the hat, it made me laugh.
Yeah, that's what it's for. It's to make people think that it's a MAGA hat.
Well, I mean, exactly. You got. I mean,
Donald Trump is such a wicked dude and such a clown and a buffoon.
All right.
That's why I like to wear the hat. You know.
Fair
Can I get a
enough.
fist bump on that one? Yeah. Okay.
But how Puritan?
I think that we can do better than the Puritans. One of the things about the Puritans is that they did not stand steadfast in most respects. Well, in many respects against Negro chattel slavery.
Yeah.
That was a major oversight. Yeah, that was a bad one.
So I'm a history major.
Okay.
So I love American history, and Puritans are. How do I view Puritans? Puritans are one of those groups of people that have a bigger influence on the modern nation than we realize.